Hello and good evening to Fantasy Football Weekly 03 with me, Fletchy, and I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, some call him. It's Mr. Thompson. How are we doing, Tomo, son?
I'm not sure about that intro, but I'll tell you what, it was well presented, Fletchy. Yes, a great start.
Well, I'm trying to adapt like Milner, to be honest. Klopp gets into the variable roles in there, and you've given me a little curveball 5 minutes before we come on.
We've stuck you on pens, haven't we, from left back? That's what we've done tonight.
Yeah, let's hope I don't hit the woodwork. That's for sure. Anyway, 03 podcast. Obviously, very, very excited. 11 days till the new season. Lots to discuss. The main topics we're going to look at today is the new chip, which hopefully most FPL addicts are aware of by now. And then we're going to move on to reclassification of positions for certain players and assets, which is quite a key area this summer and this season. We're then also going to move on to the viewers' questions. I don't know if you took a look at them at all, Tomo.
I have. I've wrote a few down. Some really good ones, to be fair. One of them giving you a bit of abuse, which I like.
Yeah, there's a few curveballs in there, I think. But I've certainly got a solid reply for them all. So just stay tuned for that. And then obviously we're going to discuss a little bit about the friendly results that happened over the weekend. Some quite key goals and position changes and stuff like that. So yeah, a lot to get through tonight. Right, let's start with the new chip then. They announced it, I think it was 4 weeks ago.
Hang on, Fletchy. Before we talk about new chip, you're always shouting your mouth off about how good Chelsea are as a football club. Here you've been linked with a certain Danny Drinkwater this week.
Sorry, Danny Alves, was that Danny Alves? Drinkwater?
Danny Drinkwater, what's your thoughts on that? You must be absolutely devastated. Listen, you can have Jack Cole back if you want. He's available.
Obviously, I'm hosting the show now, so we're going to move swiftly on from any Drinkwater. Christ Almighty! Talk about curveballs. Right, let's talk about this new chip. Finally, they've got rid of that horrible all-out attack chip. I don't know about yourself, but I've got horrible memories of that. I played two at the back, had Ashley Williams on my bench 2 seasons ago. I think I was sat in cinema watching some DiCaprio blockbuster, and I looked on live score and Williams had popped up with a goal and a cleanie. So I'm very glad to see the back of that chip. And they've reintroduced a chip where basically you can change your whole side for 1 week. What's your initial thoughts on that?
Initial thoughts was, when I first read it, I was a bit confused as to what the chip actually was. And then once I read it for about the 5th time, I thought, right, okay, so it's not an extra wild card, or in a sense, it's a temporary wild card, but just for the 1 week. So I think it's a really, really interesting one. And to be honest, I'm excited about it in comparison to All Out Attack, which, as you quite rightly said, there could in all honesty, it could trip you up, all out attack. You could end up with a worse score by playing it. So, as your Ashley Williams example would have been evident of that. I think the intriguing thing is when it will be played. I think a lot of comments on there have been about our weeks where fixture congestion creates very, very small game weeks. We had one last year, where I think it was game week 27 or something like that, where we only had the 4 fixtures. People taking big hits to just field a side, and to be honest, most people only got 6, 7, 8 players that actually registered any scores. So it would come in very handy for a week like that. And I think for the addicts such as ourselves, listen, the more complex they can make the game, the strategy, the thinking, bring it on basically.
Yeah, my initial thoughts on the new chip is, I think it would have been perfect. For example, remember the Stoke City double where only they were playing? Would be a prime example, possibly when to use it if there's any fixtures like that where there's only a few teams playing a double. But I think for me personally, you've always got that 1 week where your side just looks in absolute tatters. You've got someone suspended, you've got a couple of injuries, you've got 9 people away from home. When you just look at your side on a Friday and think, I just want to turn off WhatsApp for the weekend. I think my early thoughts are I don't want to get involved in using it in double game weeks, etc., etc. I think I'm going to be using mine when I think my side's in absolute gutters. That's my initial thoughts on it.
Sure. I mean, the nice thing is you can use it at any point in the season. So the advantages are that if you've started the season well and at Christmas time you're looking good and you've had no need to play a chip at that point, you're then going into the second half of the season looking very, very strong with all of those chips intact, potentially, in an ideal world. And I think you're right. I think when you're looking at your fixture rotation, you plan your defence, say, for the next 6 or 8 weeks in advance. It's a nice element because if there's 1 week where the rotations just fall flat on its backside, this chip could potentially pull you out of that, and it then makes a 7-8 game rotation look very, very feasible, getting you round that difficult week. So I think it, like I said to you, in terms of thinking and strategy, it will certainly get people thinking. Not predictable, I don't think, when everyone's likely to play it.
No, I think it's, like I say, I think All Out Attack had to be gone, and I think it's going to be a very interesting chip, and it'll be a lot of fun to see if people waste it or use it to its full potential. So
it certainly can't be any worse than All Out Attack. So from that point of view, clap FPL, because that decision needed to be made.
Well, if anyone's got any comments, then please comment below. What's their thoughts on their strategies to use a new chip? Maybe there's ideas that we've not thought about. Love to hear it. Also, please subscribe to our channel. If you, like Tom I said last week, if you're an FPL addict, you love hearing about the game, discussing prices, please subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell the person in the post office queue next to you. Just tell everyone. Right, swiftly moving on to reclassification. Obviously, the main people that have been moved is obviously Milner has gone into priced as a defender now at 6.5. We've got Moses, who's the same price, gone from a midfielder to a defender. And, well, let's start with them two. Well, what's your initial thoughts on Milner and Moses?
Both needed to change to a defender. It now makes them very, very, very worthy picks. I think Rudiger going in at Chelsea puts a real question mark over Moses, and obviously Robertson coming in for Liverpool puts a mini question mark over Milner. Milner on pens, you're now looking at it. I think someone ran the stats. He would have ended up as the second highest defender. He would still have come in. He would have come in between Cahill and Alonso had he have been classified as a defender last year.
Good information.
And he was unpickable last year, wasn't he? Even though he was on pens, because he was occupying one of them valuable midfielder spots. He's just never going to work his way into your side, I don't think. Only casual players would have punted on him. Whereas I think this season, he was, when I saw the reclassification, he was immediately in my plans because I thought, okay, he's a must-have. Obviously, Robertson coming in has maybe cast a little bit of a doubt over that, because I want someone that's nailed on as a defender for 6.5.
Do you believe Milner's starting the season at left back? Would that be your prediction right now?
I do, particularly early on when there's no cup commitments in league time. They're just going to be concentrating, assuming their Champions League qualifiers are out of the way. They're just then going to be concentrating on Prem. You've got to expect he's starting the majority of the first 8 or 10 games. And you could always make a judgment call from then if it looks like a rotation is on the cards.
Yeah, I personally think 6.5 is definitely a viable option right now. He's on pens. So I think him as a defender, I think definitely opens it up. So yeah, I think it's a worthy decision. And obviously Moses, obviously being a Chelsea fan, I think he'll start the season right wing back. I think based on his last season form, I know obviously he got sent off in the cup final and he got a little bit of heat and slack from that, but I think he starts for me. And I think he could be a worthy choice. I think he could have scored more goals last season, could have assisted more. So a 6.5.
I can't see anyone starting with Moses. I can't see anyone starting with him. I think the Rudiger coming in there puts too much pressure on a potential that he'll play right of the three. Azpilicueta will potentially play that wing back role. I just think he'd be nervous. I think there's better options at 6.5. Obviously, he's going to be far more viable as an option than he was last year. classify as a midfielder. So from the point of view of why we're discussing it, the reclassification certainly works in his favour.
Yeah, I do think it's a differential punt for the more outrageous manager. If he's playing an early wild card, Moses for the first 3 or 4 games, because like I say, I believe he's going to start. You could get decent returns from him, but yeah, maybe one to watch on Milner and Moses.
What's your thoughts on the forward boys then? The ones that have gone from midfielder to forward, Firmino and King.
Well, let's start on King, because my God, did he do some damage last season, didn't he? He was one of the reasons I was choking in my min league from first to third, because I just didn't get on that bandwagon. But obviously with Defoe going there, I don't really like it. The fact he's changed from midfielder to forward, especially at 7'5", I just don't think he's an option right now.
You think
for me personally,
left as a midfielder?
I do. It's a real tough one. You could even bring Sanchez into the equation. I know that obviously they've just signed a striker, but times last season he was starting up top, wasn't he?
Of course. I'd love to see the stats on that. He must have started up top equal amount of times, if not more times, than Firmino started up top for Liverpool. There can't be much in it. Yeah.
So King for me, not an option. You just have to Defoe all day long at 0.5 more, wouldn't you?
I think so.
I think 7.5's a lot. I know he went on a hell of a run last season, but he wouldn't be anywhere near my side. And I guess that's your thoughts as well.
I would agree. Yeah. And Firmino, I just can't. I mean, I think one of the questions is talking about Liverpool options, so we won't go into too much detail on Firmino.
Yeah.
I think the classification is wrong on his part as well. I think he should be classified as a midfielder. Sturridge is forming pre-season. Solanke's come in. Origi will play up top too. I think Firmino will always be the one that will be versatile enough to play in that midfield line. And at times, I think you're going to be frustrated as an owner occupying one of your forward lines, and he'll only get 4 points for a goal when he really should be getting 5 classified as a midfielder, if you ask me. Yeah,
I agree. We'll go into Liverpool attackers because I've got quite a bit I want to talk about that. But I agree. He's nowhere near my side. I think should have been left as a midfielder like King, but different points of view. I've seen a lot of drafts with Firmino in as the third striker, so he'll certainly get points, but he wouldn't be anywhere near my side. So I think that's the main 4 reclassifications, isn't there? I think
there's about 5 or 6 others, but they were just fodder, weren't they? No one would have any of the other guys, I don't think.
No, that's true. Right, shall we move on to viewers' questions then? I think we've had a few.
I'll tell you what, one of the questions came in from Wolf of Widdy. Thanks very much, mate, for the question. It's half a statement where he's talked about, what's the first 3 names on your team sheet. And I'll just go into what he said. He said his first 3 names on his team sheet were Alonso, Kane and Lukaku, which, based on the points they hauled in last year, I can see why he's thinking that. He then said, though, that when he saw the price of Kane, he then made Ali his Spurs cover, and as a result his first 3 would be Ali, Alonso and Lukaku. We still need to see another
to my world.
And I was really pleased when I saw you getting a little bit of abuse down there on the old comments board last week after the show, where basically a mutual friend of ours, Rich Hodson, was basically highlighting the fact that you'd said Kane is nowhere near your side. And the main reason you gave for that was the Wembley factor. You did say that he didn't start the seasons too well last couple of years, but the main headline was Wembley factor. And you did include Ali in your side, and he was highlighting, which I failed to highlight. Hang on a sec. If the Wembley factor is going to affect Kane and presumably Spurs as a whole, surely it affects your Ali pick. So I think you should basically try to mock you a little bit and try to, even though you won the league last year, he's not really showing you too much respect there on your opinion, I don't think.
Well, look, on Fantasy Football Weekly, we accept all questions, sharp questions, non-intelligent questions like this one. Well, straight answer is Kane's 12.5, Ali's 9.5. So, the Wembley factor.
9.5's not 4-5 though, is it? Do you know what I mean? If he's occupying one of your midfielder spots at 9-5 and you think Spurs are going to flop from the start of the season, I can see that he's got a real point there.
I don't think he has. You know, Kane at 12-5 for me, based on last season, this Wembley factor. He's not anywhere near my side. You know, Ali at 9-5 is a different proposition.
I think he's looking for a bit more from you, as last year's winner and and now host of Fantasy Football Weekly. I think he's looking for a bit more substance and a reason why Ali is worthy and Kane is not just the price.
Well, I think Ali could outscore Kane over the first 4-5 games.
Wow.
If Kane don't start the season well, last 2 seasons, is it going to change now? I just think at 12-5, not anywhere near my side. If Rich Hodgson wants to pick Harry, then he can do. But like Wolf said, 12-5.
I thought you was going to ask him to meet you down the ballpark and have a little face-to-face debate there when you started talking.
I've got far too more important things to worry about than.
Plus he is 6'5" and has got shoulders out here as well.
Of course, he's all right going on an away day with, but I think that's enough about Kane and Ali. We'll move on to Harry Kane friendly form anyway. Christ, at 12-5.
Okay, so your Ali comment was maybe questionable. We'll give you a chance to sort of redeem yourself possibly with basically Alex Stables. Again, thanks for your comment, mate. His question is, he's looking at Liverpool options. He specifically talked about Salah and basically he's just saying, who can we look at and who's in your side?
Well, yeah, Salah. He's currently in my side. When I was tinkering last week, obviously saw him a little bit at Chelsea. Obviously, Jose.
Have you been swayed by the couple of goals he's hit pre-season?
Of course, I go on friendly form. Every time he's put on a Liverpool shirt, he's scored. He's a top finisher. He's going to be making runs over the top all season long.
Same price as Coutinho.
Yeah, but I love a differential. An early season differential, and he's right up my street.
Yeah, that's a good point. Differential's a great point.
Coutinho, you're always going to have him in your side at some point. I'm just not really buzzing off him straight away. Salah, yeah, you could have 4 or 5 games. If you do the business, yeah, you could be in long term. If not, I just think it's a decent early season punt. Salah, really do. Really excited by him, and I think obviously a lot can change in a week with your teams. But I think he's nailed on in my side right now.
Interesting. I mean, you haven't asked me my view, but I'll give you it. Basically, the Liverpool options. The first idea that I had was I'm going to make James Milner my Liverpool cover. When I saw him classified as a defender, and I was looking at how I was going to work in all these options, obviously, without going into too much detail, but I was looking for, right, I need a City cover, I need an Arsenal cover, I want to cover United because they've got great fixtures to start with. Liverpool, I want to cover them because I know they score goals.
Yeah.
Milner came into my thinking of, actually, there's so many midfielder options, the points are going to get shared around. If Milner can pick up 3-4 pens, maybe, I don't know, it's maybe optimistic, let's say 2 or 3 pens in the first half of the season before any real rotation kicks in, I'll be really, really happy with that. And I'm pretty sure he'll chip in with the odd assist as well. I think with Mane and Salah as well, what you're gonna end up with, that forward line is going to become very, very narrow. They're not going to play wide, are they? They're not going to play as wingers. No. They are, without shadow of a doubt, going to be a lot through the middle. You actually think that Milner then will have a good opportunity to get forward, as he did last year. They are going to score goals. I definitely think you need Liverpool cover. I think it would be risky to go with no one, but for me, the two to look at is Coutinho in the midfield line. Yeah, I would go with his proven Premier League, assist and goal return, particularly assists, as we know. He's deadly from outside the box, set pieces, etc., etc. I think Salah, fair enough. I can see the potential there, but at the same price, if Salah was 8.5, you might have me on the Salah, but as it's the same price. Coutinho for me, he looks the option if you were going to go with a midfielder. Yeah,
fair enough. I think the problem with Coutinho for me is he does get dragged off early a lot, doesn't he? Obviously, we don't know if that's going to happen to Salah. Obviously, Mane, he's fairly injury prone and he's 9.5, so I think I'll wait wait and see on him. But yeah, Coutinho definitely will be in my side at some point. But like I've said earlier, I just think Salah for that lovely differential early season. Yeah, but I also think I took a little bit of abuse from my Henderson shout last week, which I thought was a little bit harsh because at 5'5", I still think he's a viable.
Maybe, oh my God, he's going down the Hendy route again.
Yeah, maybe a fifth mid option at some point. I'd love to see him in this Galactico side at some point.
Listen, mate, you won the league last year, so for that you do hold credibility. But some of your comments at the moment, I'll tell you what, it's hanging on by a thread here. Next thing, Drinkwater will be in your side.
Yeah,
Drinkwater does pop up with the odd goal. That's what you'll be telling us. Yeah, odd goal every 3 years.
Let's not get carried away.
Well, I tell you what. While we're looking at options, another good question, and this is one I wanted to pose to you, Fletch. Ian Paris, a work colleague of mine. Thanks a lot for your question, mate. He's an addict. He had a stinker of a season last year, and I mean a stinker. What do we have? About 60 odd people in our mini league. I think he just broke into the top 50. You know what I mean? It's not great, mate, is it? It's not great. And listen, he's looking to improve this year. The year before last, he did well. So anyway, his question and something he's interested in. Obviously, he's looking at the connotations of what Arsenal cover he's going to bring in and what City cover. And he's asked this question. He's basically said Sane, 8'5", combined with then Arsenal cover of Ozil. So he's looking at that combo versus the combo of KDB and Ramsey. And obviously, I added it up. I know you're not great at maths, Fletchy, so I'll tell you what it is. Basically, it's 18 mil for the Sane-Ozil combo. And it's only 17 mil for the KDB Ramsey combo. So I'll fire that one at yourself. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts are Sane hasn't played a minute in friendlies yet. He shouldn't be anywhere near people's sides, in my opinion. I'm not sure what's going on with him, but he's not played a minute. Sterling's playing well. Sane, yeah, he had a good season last season, but like I say, if he's not involved in friendlies, then for me, no. Ozil, we talked about underpriced last week. I think Ozil's overpriced at 9.5. I think it's too much. Obviously they bought a top striker now, so you got to think, he's going to get more assists. Are they going to score more goals? But I just think 9.5. I just think it's too much. So. Yeah, I'd be going down obviously we mentioned Ramsey in podcast 1 at 7 mil. I think he's a very viable option. And KDB, I'm trying to get him in right now with Jesus. So I think KDB
with Jesus.
Yeah,
blimey, I think I've got a lot of money.
I think I've got real City blinkers. It's really tough to get him in though, to be fair. But we're going to move on to friendly shortly. But yeah, I'll be going the KDB Ramsey route all day long.
I have to agree. I like the Ramsey punt as well at the price. I think for 7 mil, a pretty much nailed on route in there. He's versatile. He will be making them last man runs. He will probably be versatile enough to go and do a job out wide on the right if needs be. And I think if he's fit, he starts him. So more often than not, I think at 7 mil is a decent option. He was unlucky last year not to score better too, to be honest. He had a lot of touches in the box. If he stays injury free through pre-season, I think at 7 mil, I'll be looking very, very closely at Ramsey. And he probably at the moment is my favourite Arsenal cover. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, cheers, Ian, for the question. Like I say, if anyone's got any questions about anything to do with FPL, please leave below. Really enjoy answering them in the future. Right, moving on to friendlies. Might as well stick with the old City scenario. Obviously, they had a great win against Spurs. I know you don't take friendlies too seriously, but very, very impressive performance.
What's going on with Spurs? They're just getting thumped, aren't they? Everyone just conceded a lot of goals.
Looking at the highlights, it was a fairly big pitch. So
that old big W.
Yeah, Kane had one shot all game on target. I think looking very lackluster at the moment. Ali, he's looking more fresh.
How many shots did Ali have?
Nice little touches in there. Sorry, my mic's just dropped out there. To be honest, I think Ali had one shot as well. Don't quote me on those stats, Spurs fans. But Yeah.
Is this why you're looking at a City double up and moving away from Spurs cover altogether, right?
Well, they're certainly not impressing me right now. Even our boy Trippier, conceded 8 goals in 3 games in friendlies.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Because Pochettino basically said the reason why they've not been active in the market is because he's been concentrating on fitness. Well, they look like they're getting around all over the place in friendly. So he maybe should have thought that excuse through. Before he gave that.
It's just Spurs arrogance from fans to manager. I think at the moment.
All the Spurs fans press the unsubscribe button.
No, all Spurs fans are welcome, of course. Going on to City, obviously Jesus started up top again, I think for the second friendly in a row, playing the central striker role.
So they're just sharing the minutes, mate. I know they was on the pitch at the same time for a period, weren't they? But they're sharing the minutes.
They were, but the indication is that Jesus is the main striker there now. I know we had this debate first week. What's your thoughts on Aguero now? Is he still?
I'm moving away from both of them at the moment. If I had to punt on one, I agree. Jesus has just edged in front based on the minutes. But Aguero has looked dangerous. He hit post two times in a minute, didn't he?
Yeah.
On another day, they both go in, and it's a different story. You're talking about Aguero, banging goals in, and all of a sudden he's back on the agenda. But listen, I love Aguero, as I've said, and that will never change. I'll always have a place in my heart for Aguero, and if it seems to me like he's got a chance of starting, he's in my side. There's too many question marks over the pair of them. I think you could. I saw someone's side. He had both of them in there because arguably, if they both get through pre-season injury-free, they're both viable. I think then, as your KDB and Jesus shout was, it then basically leaves you short somewhere else. So. I actually am moving more over to the KDB camp, more.
Well, he's basically playing a free role in there. He's on everything. You've got to think he's going to overhaul his points from last season, and obviously Champions League don't start for a while. So start of the season, he's looking the real deal, isn't he? At 10 mil.
Yeah, he got what, the second most assists behind Eriksen last year, and people thought he had a poor season. He hit 199 points. He was very close to the 200 mark. Yeah. With top stuff. And I think if he can add a few more goals, I think he'll get his fair share of set pieces as well. I think he'll be licking his lips, looking ahead at him. Silva, the new boy Silva, Aguero, Jesus, Sterling, all making runs ahead of him. I think he's just going to racking up assists for fun. And he's going to be annoying if you don't own him, I think. So I think he's going to be consistently ticking up points like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, just another point on that friendly. I know we're chatting about City a lot. But obviously Mendy's out for a couple of weeks. I don't know if you're aware of that. 2 to 3 weeks. And Danilo played left back. Very, very impressive. He had 2 attempts on goal, was flying forward. And the reason I take this friendly quite seriously is because obviously the Walker history, there was a few firing tackles going in early doors. So it was certainly a competitive friendly. And from what I saw, City were very, very impressive. So,
what about United then? Lukaku scored again, didn't he?
Yeah, nice header. Really nice header. Obviously, another question is obviously Matic has gone to United for 40 million. So I just did a little dance. 40 mil, what a sell. Top stuff. Cheers, Matic, by the way, for the years and titles. But what's your thoughts on obviously him coming in there, and then Pogba possibly being more of an option now?
I think I was quoted as saying, if they sign a DMC, I'm really seriously looking at Pogba. Now they have signed a DMC, I'm questioning it equally as much. Because I was thinking about it, Hernandez was often getting that opportunity to get forward too. I think Mourinho is going to be unpredictable about how he uses Pogba, even though Matic is there. If I knew Pogba was guaranteed starting in the 10 every single week, I think he will be in everybody's side, particularly considering their fixtures are so favourable at the start of the season. I probably wouldn't start with him in my squad. I wouldn't, particularly given the fact that Lukaku's nailed on in my squad. I don't want to double up on United from the start. I'll be worried that are they going to score enough goals? I'll be worried that Mourinho's going to look to keep it tight early, hit 1-0s and stuff like that. And I'd just be so annoyed if I had a double up on United and they just weren't free flowing and scoring goals. I'd be looking at investing, if I was going to double up, I'd be looking at double up on City, possibly Liverpool, because I know they're going to be free scoring.
No, that's fair enough. Obviously, Pogba didn't have the greatest season, did he, last season? But my God, he hit the woodwork maybe 6-7 times. And if he's playing further forward, then he's going to get chances at home. That's for sure. Maybe away from home, not so much. But at 8 mil, he's one to watch for me. To be honest, with the Matic signing, it makes me want to look at maybe De Gea, possibly in there. Obviously, we talked a little bit about Lindelof. But based on Jose's quotes about him, needing time to learn, and I just think with Phil Jones has started quite a few friendlies as well. I've come away from the Lindelof camp. I don't know what your views on him now are. Obviously, we discussed him last week at 5-5.
I'll tell you what, it's just sparked off a thought in my head that I wanted to talk to you about, because Lindelof slide into that United backline in a back three. He appeals to because I think he's guaranteed to be nailed on if they play him free at the back, and as a result, they're going to be so hard to break down with Matic in front of them. I think a lot of clubs are going to be going that free at the back, as Chelsea implemented it so well last year. And Mourinho has said openly that he's looking at that free at the back. I think if clubs are going this way, and okay, they're not all going to go that way all of the time, but if they are going that way, not only does it make them viable options for clean sheet gains, because they will keep their fair share of clean sheets, particularly early on, and at 5-5 is a nice price if he is now. But the point I wanted to make was it makes these wing backs almost a necessity in your sides, and not just for United. I think United's wing backs are a bit more difficult to predict. Obviously, we know Valencia will start there, but what's he doing on that left side, we don't know. But as the clubs as a whole, Arsenal towards the end of last season, 3 at the back, and it shored things up, and they look more dangerous. And probably you would expect them to start the season. So the new left back, he's viable for them at 6 mil. Kalinic or whatever his name is. I think the reality is Alonso's on radars again, because the reality is at 7 mil it looks pricey, but when you compare it with what he's going to give you at 7 mil and what, for example, maybe a Fabregas or maybe a Willian will give you, Alonso with the added ability to get defensive returns in conjunction with how far forward he is, they're almost more viable at 7 mil than a Willian or a Fabregas. And something I wanted to discuss, I'm going around the houses here to make the point, but what I wanted to make the point was, I think you're going to see a lot of people that know their stuff that start this season with 4, if not 5 defenders that they'll play week in, week out, home and away, regardless, because fair enough, they might not keep me a clean sheet away, but they're basically playing as wingers, these guys, And I actually think that you'll see a lot of people maybe looking at a 5-2-3 formation. I'm currently looking at it myself because, as I mentioned, Liverpool, you can cover Liverpool with Milner. Okay, it's no Coutinho and it's no Mane, but you've got a chance of attacking returns. You can also do the same with Chelsea, with Alonso, in my opinion. You've almost ticked them off as, I've got Liverpool cover, I've got Chelsea cover. Now let's look at what else is out there in terms of maybe budget midfielders or even cheap midfielders, and then bolster up top again. I just thought I'd throw that out there and see if it's. I mean, I've always been a 3-4-3 man, but I think this season, I think it's going to be people tearing up the old rulebook in terms of how they start.
Very, very interesting point. I'd love to hear comments on the 5-2-3 if anyone's going down that road. For me personally, I've always been a 3-4-3 man, and I don't see that changing for me. But like I say, we're going to be tinkering all week. Next week, we're going to be looking at our drafts, what formations we've decided to go with. Obviously, captains. We're going to look at fixtures next week as well.
Are you going to be announcing that Henderson's in your team next week, or what can we expect there?
Well, I don't know. They're playing a friendly this weekend, but I'll certainly be monitoring Henderson.
Are you going to give us your real team and your real ideas, or your fake ideas?
Of course, no. I'm certainly not fake here. So it's all truth coming out in the Fletcher camp. But yeah, we want to discuss fixtures. Obviously, Charity Shield. We're going to beat Arsenal on Sunday, so bit to discuss there. Sanchez back in training as well. So I think next week's going to be a big old bumper show next week, I would think, because there's going to be a lot of people really settled down onto the site, isn't there? Obviously we're the addicts, so we've been on there since July the 1st or whatever. But, a lot of people will be doing their sides now. And hopefully we make the right decisions and really start the season well. Are you actually going to beat me this season then, or...
Oh, of course, mate. Without a doubt. Listen, if my levels of research and time that I've put into it, 1 month before a ball's even been kicked, imagine how I'm going to be into it when the season actually starts. So yeah, of course, I'm no excuses this season. The talking stops, the season starts. I need to end above you. You've ended above me the last 2 years. I need to put the record straight this season, without a shadow of a doubt. It'd be nice to to maybe laugh at your demise this year, rather than constantly looking up at the top of the table with you flying. But time will tell. And we discussed the option of potentially doing this all season. And what I wanted to say was thanks to everyone that has commented, thanks to people that have subscribed. And to be honest, this has been a lot more fun than I thought it would have been. This was only going to be a bit of a laugh for me and you. And actually, we've had some really good feedback, some positive, some constructive criticism, which has helped us, to be honest.
Definitely.
But also the questions have been awesome. So if anyone's got any questions, put them down at the bottom, and if we've got time to go over them next week as well, we will do, and we'll continue to do that throughout the season. So thanks for your support is all I was going to say, and basically hit the subscribe button and basically post some questions. It's all good.
Yeah, also join the Fantasy Football Weekly League as well. We'll put the code up in the comments after the show, so please join. If we get enough people joining, we're going to have prizes as well, so tell your friends. I think we're going to leave it there with that Tomo fighting talk. Happy tinkering, everyone. It's a big week. Watch Charity Shield and then get on the FPL website. We want to see teams, we want to see who you fancy, we want to see bandwagons, we want to see differentials. Let's really go for it this week. I think that's a good night.